Hello.
How come I don't see it on my screen?
How are you?
Hey, can't really, you can just see the top of it, but you can't see your tail.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye, everyone.
I see it. I'm not so sure that was more professional, but we'll work on it next week.
I didn't think she was going to talk through the whole thing.
I see us. I look taller than I think I actually am. What's with that?
I don't know.
Yanni's Nile. But I do look taller. And our shot is slightly wrong. You got part of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't fix it. So now I'm going to get up anyway.
I was going to tell her to come back, but
Were you?
yeah,
How's that?
didn't fix. Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Well, it just took a moment.
you're good. Wonderful. Hello, everybody.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Countryside Acres. We are live from the farm, back in the basement, in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
I got no comments on my screen. How do I get those?
You have to put it down a little bit.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And then what? Ah, bueno. I see it. I do. Whoops. Hey, you. Stop moving. Translate to English. Voila. All right. Internet's working better today. It has been a bad week for internet this week. But today's working again. There's something we can talk about. We had our first digital free day.
Other than tonight.
Well, other than tonight. So Sundays we try to take a rest generally anyway. Sometimes, you got chores and things still, of course, but we just find that our phones.
Somebody wants you to move your
Mic?
to the center.
Okay, I can do that.
And I'll just do it down here. There you go.
A better? Testing.
Yeah,
Это
I think it
хорошо.
sounds good.
Anyway, we're so glued to our phones these days. I was actually talking to a friend of mine down in Krasnodar. He said the same thing. His internet was not working today, and he's like, "It's amazing how lost he's." I don't know how old is he. He's in his 60s, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But how lost we are today without a phone. And I've said that before in the past. We're living in this digital age where if our phones ever quit, internet ever quits, I mean, you can't buy groceries, you can't do anything. I'm not the only one. I've seen some people in Nizhny Novgorod today on the news just before I started this live. So much for digital free. I did see that, and there was people complaining about how poorly the internet was working today, particularly. And they were saying the same thing, that even at the checkouts, because it's all internet run, you can't even use your card to pay for anything, right? So, oh, look at this right out of the bat here. Thank you very much. D. Herman.
Is that actually how you say it? Out of the bat?
Right out of the box, maybe out of the bat. I don't know. I make stuff up as I go.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't think that's how you say it.
I don't know. I just say whatever comes to mind.
Well, I say that too, but then I said it the other day. I'm like, I don't think that's right.
Well, some expressions that we say don't actually make sense, but then if you look them up on the internet, they come from this or they come from that.
But I think there's one that says something about a bat, and the other one,
right out of the bat doesn't really make sense.
I think it's too mixed up.
Right out of the box might make
Maybe.
more sense. I don't know. Just make it up, folks. Anyway, D. Herman, $5 super chat. Are you allowed to trap predators? I actually don't know all the laws on that. I would think a live trap. I mean, it's not hurting anything. I can't see why that would be a problem. And then rehoming it, put it in somebody else's backyards. Or
We can't say your name.
I don't know. But can we say we had a solution to that problem?
I don't know whether we are like.
Or do you want to wait for that? Yeah.
I don't know. Or what are we? Yeah,
I think we're allowed to.
We better confirm it first.
All right. Thank you very much for the super chat. We really appreciate that. Sum that up. If you're just signing on now, my screen says 0 thumbs up. It says 1 because I just gave 1. You got 18 thumbs up. These are often behind. So if you are just coming in now, make sure you hit that thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithms, and we definitely need that. Because for some reason, they're playing against us, it seems. And our channel's not moving. It goes up a little bit, comes back down again. We just can't get to 200,000. And it's been so long now that we are pretty sure that's artificially being held down. It seems like it's. And another one here from Hive Software. Hive Software.
HIFI software.
$49.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Building farm must be expensive. Small help for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It is actually, and we obviously knew that already, but yet you just don't count on everything. Some things are more. I was surprised actually in the interview that we did with Constantine. He asked me about lumber prices, and so I looked them up, and I was actually surprised to find out that wood prices here are more money than in Canada. Now, Canadian prices have come down. Ours have gone up in the last year, but I was still surprised to find that out. Concrete's a lot less, drywall's a lot less, but it takes a lot to set up a farm. And in the past, I've always had work to fall back on. I've always done construction on the side, and here now I'm not working. YouTube is our work. So it's definitely a lot more challenging financially than it has been in the past. But we're moving ahead. I mean, we've got a house built, we've got a barn built, we've got land. We're going to do more fencing here this coming week.
Or two.
Well, yeah, we'll start on it this week, but it'll last a lot more than 2 weeks.
It'll take a while.
Yeah, and then that will lead into getting more animals and stuff. And so yeah, thank you very much. And someone says generous on the bottom. Indeed, it is very generous. Thank you. I never figure these out. All right. Let's run through a few of these quick. Where are we today? Hello, good evening, guys. Hello from Muskoka. Good evening. Hi from Ugra, Siberia. Peace, kindness, good luck, success. Are you allowed to trap the fox? Answer down. Are you sending best wishes to all from the UK? A big hello from Yalta. Hello from the Caribbean. Hi, good family. Aaron, can you move your mic to the center of your shirt?
I already did that.
All right. Did they say it was good now?
I didn't see that.
Blue Diamond here from Maine, USA. Marina, hello. Mr. Games, hello everyone from the city of Skov. Maxime, hi from Bratsk, Siberia. I want to go to Siberia so bad. One day.
Yeah.
Siberia is a huge place, but I'm talking about like the emptiness of Siberia. Just
like northern, like
yeah, like where there's no people. I just want to see it. I've seen some wildlife documentaries, and it's just like, oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Get lost up there. Sasquatch, what was causing the auto dubbing with the voices? YouTube. Two things.
There's two things.
Two things. One, YouTube, it's a new feature, but everybody hates it.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll be good. It apparently, I looked into it anyway. I didn't even know it existed until this happened accidentally. But the YouTube itself has created a new thing where they can dub, and so our video can be available to a much larger audience. People who would normally never be able to understand us now have the opportunity with dubbing to understand us in their own language. But it's apparently just terrible. And the voices are supposed to be voices that sound like us, which it clearly was not.
Well, I was a man.
Yeah, and I watched some other video on some guy, and his was a woman.
I guess my voice is deeper than most women.
Maybe. So anyway, the way it happened, she actually uploaded the video without the VPN, and so YouTube thought we were here. YouTube thought we were here. That's kind of funny. We are here, but therefore it dubbed it all for our whole audience as opposed to the way it normally. So we've shut the dubbing off, and she'll remember to use the VPN.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it did that.
Now, having said that, I'm kind of excited about the dubbing in the future. I mean, they got a long ways to figure it out yet, but it does allow potentially reaching a larger audience. Which is
I'm not excited about it because I think of how much fake content is going to be out there.
True. Yeah.
Right, and people are going to pretend that we said something that didn't actually happen. I'm not really looking forward to it.
Mad Max, although your sound level is already better than the last few weeks. Thank you. Mr. Games, build a house, start blogging. Cool. Vladimir, greetings from Belarus. Super chat. Rhonda, just set up VK to be on top of all on Countryside Acres things.
Thank you for joining us there.
Sharon, greetings from Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Great to see how you all are doing.
Hello.
Oh, it keeps going while you're doing it on your farm. Your progress is amazing. God bless you. It's funny that you saw that at the same time as me. Constantine, hello. Everyone, Belgrade is watching. Blue Diamond, hello. What time is it there? 8, 10 after 8, quarter after 8, roughly. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello to all Canadians. Surrendra Monkey Shine right off the bat. Blue Diamond, what about a pellet gun? There are some legalities. Actually, someone sent me a nice email detailing all of that. Air guns, basically. So depending on the velocity of the gun, you can get one without any kind of licensing or registration. Now, would that be enough to kill a fox or not? Probably not. But the lower velocity, if you crank up the speed, then it would. Hello, when you will learn Russian? Oh, не сейчас. Может быть, потом. I hated the dubbing on one of your videos. Glad you stopped it. Greetings from your Dutch South African friend Bernhard. Hope all is well there. Yes, everything is good. How are you doing? Have to maybe chat this week. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Not on Sundays.
No.
This is
Natalie,
not on his phone.
I'm really happy to see you. Hello from Obrinsk. I like your channel. Thank you very much. Hello to the Feaster family. What is your favorite dish? So next person, favorite dish. Meat, potatoes, and veggies.
I absolutely love pizza. That's my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, I absolutely love pizza, but I don't eat it anymore because, well,
Doesn't like you.
you can't find it here that's really that yummy. And then it doesn't like.
What about the stuff we were getting from Spar? Pepperoni and Spar? No?
No. A lot of people don't know how to make like the real pasta sauce.
That's true. Pasta sauce is lacking in Russian.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And they don't know how to make a Canadian pizza.
No.
That's actually a type of pizza, Canadian pizza.
Yeah.
Ham, bacon, cheese. What else is
Not
on it?
ham, just
Not ham?
bacon.
Oh.
Bacon, pepperoni.
I don't know how to
mushrooms.
make Canadian pizza, apparently.
And we always put pineapple, but that's not a Canadian.
I
but
prefer
it's all in the
pepperoni.
sauce and all in the cheese, and I feel like they don't know how to do that here.
Hmm.
They always put bologna on it. Like they have bologna instead of pepperoni. It's like these big fat bologna, and it's
not the same.
No, it's not the same.
All right, my preference would be mashed potatoes
Meat, potatoes, veggies.
with like a really good gravy. I haven't had a good gravy in a long time. But good gravy made from
Maybe
meat.
I can make gravy soon.
Maybe, but the stuff you buy from a package is just not the same.
No,
Like, you
maybe
got
I
to
can
cook
make
your meat
gravy.
just right and then make gravy out of the leftovers. Oh, man. Anyway, put that on the potatoes. And then green beans boiled. No crunch, just boiled. And meat. A good chunk of roast.
Completely boiled with no nutrients left in them. That's what he likes.
Yeah, that's my favorite dish. Hello from Texas. We love y'all and hope you are well. Thank you very much. Hope to see you guys attend harvest festivals. Surely they have them. I don't know if they do.
I don't know.
Probably. Anneesa has somehow become fresher and looks younger than she did a year ago. Well, there you go. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I feel not. I feel the opposite, actually.
Yeah, me too. I feel old and tired.
Old, tired, and fat. That's how I feel.
Well, that covers us both.
Yeah. No, I even look back at like pictures, like I'm like not healthy at all.
Could you somehow use meat of dead chickens? No.
No.
You just don't know.
Well, what if that fox had rabies, right? Like,
Right.
we don't want to risk it.
No. We only eat something that we kill. Rhonda, how is Lucy doing with her chasing the chickens issue? Maybe it was always the foxes. Oh no, it was definitely Lucy.
her. We caught her.
And we've seen her chasing.
And
it, very
today she actually chased a duck.
which is rare now, though.
Well, if we notice, right? But it is rare. Yeah, she's getting
listens
out of
much
her.
better.
Yeah, she's getting out of her baby stage, and I scolded her right away and told her to get to the house, and she came right away to the house. And then I told her to get in her bed, and she went right away into her bed. So she knew she was in trouble. Before she would never have been able to do that.
Just takes
So
training.
she's getting there. But we were having an issue not just with her eating the chickens. The issue actually that we were having is that we were, we've trained a lot of puppies in our time, but she was actually like snarling at the babies and
Children.
yeah, like I don't know whether people know what that means, but like a puppy will kind of like gnaw on a child, or it's just playfulness, or they'll like kind of growl a little bit at a child. But she was actually like turning on us, and she did it to me a couple times. And like, so if one of the kids would be like grab her collar and say come, she would literally turn around viciously and be like,
Not bite, but
just like
snarl.
like a wild dog would do. And I'm thinking we got her out of that, but that was really concerning to me. Like, having that we've trained a lot of puppies in the past, we've never experienced this before. So I was really worried that I would never be able to train that out of her, and I didn't really want to risk her biting one of the babies. But I think we might have got her through that stage. I'm hoping. I hope it never comes back again. I have not heard it in a long time, so I'm thinking it was just because of the maybe where she was born. Maybe they were aggressive. You know, the dogs were aggressive with each other, and she thought that was a normal behavior. I'm not sure, but it happened quite a bit. She actually bit me once, and I had to be really careful with the babies and stuff. So it wasn't so much of trying to train her out of just chasing the animals. It was also,
Not all of it combined. She just didn't listen at
yeah,
all.
we were kind of worried about the safety of their children at that time.
And
but I
concerned that she
think
wasn't trainable. She's come a long way. She's
She
doing a
has.
lot better.
Yeah.
Seems to be listening.
what we realized is that we, with our other puppies, like, we're really busy right now, so we kind of forgot, right? But with our other puppies, we would, just like our children, you send them for naps, right? So they don't have free play, and they don't have free, all the time. And so we kind of remembered that. So it was like, okay, now we will tie her out. If she's all by herself, she'll be tied outside. We put her in her bed for a while, during the day, so she's not always just left to her own demands.
Yep. Hello from Russia, guys. You have a great house. Thank you very much. A lot of work went into that. US, us 211. Not sure how you say that. Canada will most likely soon become one of the US states. It would certainly benefit it in all respects. Do you regret now that you left your homeland? You could soon automatically become US citizens. No, US has a lot of problems. Look at all the riots and stuff just going on there not too long ago, right? I mean, illegal immigrants in your country, government's trying to round them up and get rid of them. That's the government's job. They should get rid of illegal people. They're not supposed to be there. And then you have half the population sticking up for the illegal immigrants against the police department that is supposed to get rid of them. That's a problem. So right now, for the next 3 years, you have a government that is more responsible than it has been in the past. But then there's a very, very good chance the next election, the other guy's going to win again. And it's the same nonsense over and over and over, because half the population wants the place to jump off a cliff. Seems like there's always this divide between the liberals and the conservatives, the Republicans and the Democrats. The same problem in Canada. Half the population thinks kind of like we do, and the other half of the population doesn't think at all. And they sometimes get in charge. So right now, yeah, US is on a better track, but there's still a lot of problems. Just about jumped into another war a couple weeks ago. It still might. There's a lot of problems there. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are easier in Canada and would be easier for us. We know where everything is. We speak the language. There's no SIM card, stuff. There's a lot of things that are definitely easier. But as far as there being a future, both countries continue to decline. Yeah, some things have gotten better in the U.S., but they're still borrowing money like crazy. The record amounts of debt. I think it's $130,000 per American citizen right now, which is absolutely insane. So no, I don't know. Will Canada join? Probably not. Not all of Canada for sure. Western provinces might, although I find it hard to believe they'll find enough people to commit to that vote. And even if they do, look at when England left Europe, Brexit, it took like 4 or 5 years and just huge amounts of money. So none of it would happen anytime soon if it did. Andrew, greetings from St. Petersburg. D. Herman, maybe Alberta at some point, but not all of Canada. Exactly. Yeah. Do you think about crocodiles on your farm? They're not afraid of foxes. No, never considered being a crocodile farmer.
We just talked to somebody about crocodile hunting. Justin.
Yes.
I think, and right in
Yeah,
Australia.
Justin and Anita were
somebody-
saying that there's crocodile farmers and wranglers in Australia. I just never considered that
I
as
never
a job.
really thought of it. Even kangaroos and stuff, I never thought of. Totally
Mm.
different life.
What would you farm a kangaroo for?
I'm not sure.
Boxing?
Maybe somebody knows. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Try Zotman frozen pizza. It is pretty good for a frozen product.
Hmm.
Okay, not sure if I've heard of that or not. Do you still have your cat? No, she disappeared come spring. So it wasn't our cat. It was never our cat.
No.
In the fall, when the villagers all left for the city, the village was basically abandoned, other than a few houses, I guess. This cat showed up.
Mhm.
We even named the cat.
Missy.
Can't remember. Anyway, yeah, was that her
I
name?
think we named her Missy.
Anyway, she hung out with us all winter long. Sometimes in the house, sometimes outside, and then come spring, she disappeared.
Mhm.
Kind of suspect maybe she was expecting because she was looking a little fat the last time I seen her.
I assumed she would come back with kittens.
Yeah, so
That's just
I think
figured she would.
maybe she disappeared to have these kittens, but we haven't seen her since.
No, I figured she would have came back.
Well, we thought the other day we seen her in the village,
No, it was not.
It was a
You
different
thought
cat,
she.
yeah.
Yeah.
but it was a different cat. So, Teresa, rehome the dog. It's likely the breed. Don't take a chance. Well, she seems better now. Oh, I couldn't believe the amount of people that got upset with us for thinking about rehoming the dog.
I know.
Some people don't
Um,
understand. Like the farm, a dog, every animal on this farm serves a purpose. Either it's
Mhm.
going to get eaten or it's working. Nobody's riding for
Well,
free.
this one was a companion.
This is a
right?
companion dog,
like
yes.
when we gave up so much, from Canada, we had to give up our dogs as well, and we had a French bulldog there as well,
Mhm.
and he was such a calm
Sweetheart.
sweetheart, right? So that's why we really picked the breed.
Yeah.
But we've since read that it's really wise to get more than one of them because they
Right.
kind of enjoy.
We had 3 in Canada.
Yeah, so we had
1 Frenchie, I guess, and 2 other small dogs.
Yeah, but and
We
then-
didn't buy her for a guardian
No,
dog. It's a
no.
companion dog. It's a house dog. It's just a
Yeah.
nice dog to have around.
Yeah, so
Great
that
with the
was
kids.
yeah.
We don't really like big dogs because they just jump on kids and knock them over.
Mhm.
I see all sorts of other people with terribly behaved dogs.
Not all. I find Russians are really good at training their dogs. I find it's some of the village dogs that aren't maybe the best, but that's because they just kind of wander
Village
around.
is in Russia.
I don't know, but when you go to the city, I am so
Oh, there's good behaved
surprised
dogs in
on
the city,
how
yeah.
well behaved the dogs are in the city.
Yeah, I wasn't saying all Russian dogs
Okay,
are bad.
I don't want people to take
No,
that as
But I
so.
do see a lot of big dogs that are
Yes.
poorly behaved.
Mhm.
Your mom's had terribly behaved dogs where our kids
Yeah.
come over and the dog just knocks the kid
Yeah.
over on the floor.
Yeah, or nips them in the
Right.
teeth
So
or-
a dog needs to be well trained, and a
Yeah.
dog needs to serve some sort of function.
Mhm.
And if the dog's eating chickens or destroying property, that dog's
or
got to go.
biting. Yeah.
This is our livelihood. So,
Mhm.
but I think she's good. She's doing pretty good.
I think so too. She seems like she's much more obedient.
Yeah. James, when are you going to finish the inside of your house? No idea. When we can afford it? It's not a priority
Mhm.
right now. We need to seriously focus on
Making some
producing an
money,
income.
yeah.
So finishing more of the house doesn't benefit us in any way. We need to focus on spending.
Don't kid yourself though. I would love it. To
Oh,
be
me too. I
finished.
would love it to be finished too. But in reality, we can spend the money on finishing the house, or we can spend the money on something that will produce an income.
Mhm.
If we have a nice finished house, but we have no way of producing an income and eating, what good is that? You live in a nice house and starve. We need to produce an income, get a farm functioning. Any rodent issues yet? No. There's actually very little evidence of mice. We've seen one dead one outside once.
Yeah, like the cat did really well last year.
Yeah.
with the
And
mice.
these dogs will actually do
Yeah,
get mice too, right?
yeah.
So, but we haven't actually seen many. And even with the feed that we have for the chickens, I haven't seen too many mice.
yeah. I think the one over here was actually a rat.
Look like a small rat. Yeah.
And we seen a vole or a mole.
Well, and Dimitri was just telling me his dog got
A mole.
a mole
Mhm.
yesterday. So they are around, but we don't see too many. Not like remember we lived in Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah.
Our lawn in
The
so
mountains.
we just came from Ontario, Canada. Before that, we lived in Saskatchewan. I mean, there was so many moles out there. Moles or voles?
moles.
Moles.
Well, there's
They're similar,
two.
right?
Yeah. One's got a
Anyway,
longer
we had
nose
lots
and
of
the
them
other one's shorter.
Do you? Where was I? I don't think Russians would let that happen. Well, what happened? Rodent issues. Bulldogs are supposed to be aggressive. No, not French bulldogs. They're not aggressive at all.
No, they're supposed to be companions and really loyal and nice dogs.
Aaron, as an American, your comments are sound. I'm assuming that's talking about the politics there. Rhonda, the permanent state is the main issue with the U.S. Yep. Blue Diamond, I don't think Russia or Russians would allow that to happen. I'm not sure what that's about.
Not sure.
Greetings from Belarus. Did you try online selling food? No, not yet.
No.
Nah, the girls are just trying to earn a little bit extra and really get a feel for the market. I don't even know how much produce we'll be selling this year.
Not sure.
But we're hoping to, in time, sell stuff, and they're getting a feel for it and learning skills, communicating with people. You know, it's good education. Piercy, do they sell donuts and the same cookies you make for the market in Russia? We haven't seen too many donuts.
Not my donuts. No, my donuts are.
I've tasted some real dried out ones.
Yeah,
These
my
are really,
donuts are Canadian.
really
donuts.
juicy, yummy.
They're like the old-fashioned Tim Hortons donuts.
Yeah,
like
they're good.
day-old donuts.
As far as the cookies,
like,
I mean,
not day-old, like the same day donuts.
Spar had those really good. It was like a molasses cookie or something. Or what were those? Ginger.
Yeah, but even then, I find they're not fresh.
Well, they were
Like
pretty mushy sometimes.
Yeah, but they just taste like.
Not mushy is the wrong word, but soft.
Yeah, they just taste though like they're made from a machine.
Yes.
They're not made with love.
True. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Long night. And still early.
Not long night, long day.
Long
You
day.
mean? We took a big long walk today as a family.
It was awesome.
It was. It was so enjoyable, but it was like it really reminded us
strawberries.
of how out of shape we were.
Yeah, I don't like strawberries. Like the big plump ones, I've never liked strawberries. But the wild ones here don't taste like strawberries do. Like they're delicious. I was picking them and eating them. They're like the size of a raspberry.
They taste different, eh?
Oh,
they got a different taste to them.
Yeah, and then we would have, like on our last farm, we had wild strawberries in the field as well, but they're teeny, teeny, tiny. The ones over here, plump and juicy and yummy, and doesn't take long to get a handful. And they're just everywhere. You look in the, as we walk through, there's just millions of strawberries out there. There was 3 old babushkas in the bush there. Sorry if you're watching for calling you older ladies in the bush, picking strawberries as well. That guy, I don't know if I'm assuming it's too early for mushrooms, so he must have been picking strawberries.
I'm assuming that's what they're doing.
But the ladies had big baskets full.
Maybe they were the babushkas driving the vehicle.
No, this one up here was a guy. The one
yeah, I'm not sure what they were doing.
UK is still paying for the EU. They did soft Brexit. I don't understand that. How easy you can join. It takes so long to get out. Yeah, all these different laws and everything else to get signed in that everybody votes to leave, and then it still takes 4 or 5 years. You can't just go done. Hope you'll stick through it all despite the hurdles. Well, we plan to. That is our plan. We've set a goal in mind, and we'll keep plugging away. I guess at some point, if it's impossible for us to make a living here, we have to then make a choice. But right now, I think the future looks really good. There's lots of opportunities. We have to just learn how to thrive in a new system. Things are different here. Not impossible, not wrong, not good, not bad. It's just different. And you have to figure those things out. As I've said before, I worked for a really intelligent Dutch dairy farmer when I first moved out of my parents' house. And that guy taught me a lot. And one thing he said, too, that his first year living in Canada, he was a big farm, but he lost $150,000. And he says, that's the learning curve. Now, I couldn't imagine losing that kind of money. But for the size of his enterprise, I guess it was not that big. And he says that's part of learning. You move to a new country and things are different. So, it is to be expected that we have to learn how to do things differently here. Could you explain, you said in your video it is difficult to source animals in Russia. It's hard to explain because you don't know the systems that maybe we grew up with. But in Southern Ontario, where we grew up, I would say within an hour radius of the house I grew up in, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 auction barns that I can think of off the top of my head. where 1 day a week you can drop off any animal and sell it. And there's no veterinarian certificates needed. There's no blah, 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 blah. Today, you're like, you know what? I'm going to sell that horse. You go to the barn, you load the horse into your trailer. Almost every farmer owns a trailer for animals. You'd load it up, you'd bring it to the auction barn, and they would sell it that day. And then you would get a paycheck. So we actually have checks in the mail. You would get a check in the mail uh, the next week, and it's done. And there's no quarantines, there's no nothing. It's just super simple. I would twice a week when I had rabbits as a kid. Twice a week, I could bring my rabbits away to a butcher. That was about 20 minutes drive from our house. My mom would take me on Saturdays. I'd load all the rabbits in the back of the truck or the car, and she would drive me there. No certificates, no vet checks, no paperwork, no nothing. I would just load them up in cages. We'd bring them there. I would set them on the guy's weigh scales. He would weigh them. There was a long line of people bringing their stuff. He would weigh them, times so many dollars a pound. He'd write you a check, give you the check. He would take the rabbits. We go home. I bring the check to the bank, put it in my bank. That simple. No quarantines, no nothing. It's just simple. It's very easy.
Now, what is going on here, though?
Well, Karen, I can even go to the neighbor. Like if I want to milk another cow, I went to my neighbor. We milked goats. I went when we were married. Like, well, we're still married, but I mean, a few years ago, I went to my neighbor. He had an old cow he wanted to sell. Anneesa didn't even know I was going to buy a cow. I wasn't planning on buying a cow. I went for a calf, and then he talked me into buying a cow. So I tied the cow behind the van. It wasn't that far. And I slowly drove home. The cow walking behind me. I brought the cow home. Now we had a milk cow. That's legal. There's no veterinarian checks. There's no quarantines. There's no special paperwork. There's nothing. We don't have anything like that in Canada. It just doesn't exist. It's not necessary. Here, it is. It's a lot more of a pain. You got to find animals and you need your farm inspected. And I'm still trying to figure it out because there seems like there's a difference between village house and farm. And we're kind of fall in between. We're not a large enterprise, but we're also not a dacha. We're what we would call a farm. So it sounds like all the same laws apply for everyone, but they're not enforced for villagers. They're only enforced for enterprises. And we're somewhere in the middle of that. Now, I might still have that wrong because it's very hard to find a clear answer on anything. Everybody you talk to has a different example or a different idea of what is the law, what is legal, what is not legal. Butchering chickens, I've been told, oh no, if you're only going to do, 1,000 chickens, you can butcher them, no inspection needed. Talk to the next guy, no, you need to have it inspected. What is the law? Nobody seems to know, and it's very easy. Everybody will give you advice. Well, yes and no. Everybody has a different interpretation of it. And there's pretty relaxed enforcement, which is fine.
Until it isn't.
Personally, I don't believe you can build a business model on that because one day someone shows up and says, hey, you're breaking the law, destroys your whole business. So I need to figure out what is the law and then build my business based on that. And it's been really challenging to figure that out. And a lot of the people in the comments don't understand that. It's not me complaining. It's me trying to figure out what is the law. And I can't look through the entire Russian law book to figure out what I can and can't do.
Some answers were, well, yeah, go here and you can read the law. And we're like, it's in another foreign language. How are you supposed to?
Even then, we have Timur who speaks Russian and he's a lawyer. And he's tried figuring some of this stuff out. And it's just written badly. It's very hard to figure out what is allowed, what's not allowed. So as far as you're finding animals, also there's not too many farms our size. I found for milking cows, I found a herd that I really liked. We wanted to buy these cows, Anneesa and I both really liked them, but they couldn't sell to us because they didn't think we were an LLC. So I guess because they're a big business, they can't sell to small business. That doesn't make any sense. We don't have that again in Canada. I can go to any farm anywhere and ask them, hey, can I buy that cow? And they'll say yes or no, and I come home with the cow. Again, there's no fancy paperwork needed. It's just a lot easier to do that in Canada. Why it's so hard here, I don't know. Something left over from the Soviet past, perhaps. I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
Will it get easier? Maybe. Sheep. There's guys selling sheep. We might only be selling 10. That guy's selling 15. This guy's selling 5. And we would like to buy 50 ewes. I do not want to buy them from 4 different people. I want to buy them from one place. In Canada, again, you can easily find a sheep breeder. You can go there. You can have a look at the sheep, see if you like them, don't like them. They might have different options. Last time we bought sheep quite a few years ago, the guy had a bunch of different breeds we could take a look at, and then we chose a bunch, made a deal, paid them, and the sheep we got them shipped I think the next week or something.
Now, the difference is too is that in Canada, like we were aware of diseases and the reason we understand here why they're doing it, right? Like they're worried about passing diseases and having the animals in quarantine so they don't bring diseases onto your farm and kill your herds and all that stuff. We understand that because we used to milk 300 dairy goats, and we had the same thing. We had a closed herd, and we wouldn't let anybody in with uh, certain clothing if they were dirty or any of that. We were very big on keeping disease out of our barn. So we are aware of why some of it is happening and why some of it is enforced here. But it's just kind of how they go about it. It literally what we're understanding is that the animals will, once you say you want to buy the animals, they have to go into quarantine at that facility where you want to buy them from for a month. And then they would come to your facility and have to be in quarantine. And we're like, well, that's silly. Like, why would you have to do that? Like, why wouldn't you be bringing them to your facility away from your other animals if you had some? In our case, we don't. But why wouldn't they be in quarantine just at your place? Because
Right.
they're already with your animals.
And then I heard somebody else tell us, no, that is the way. They only have to be quarantined at your place. And so
Well,
again,
that
we
makes
get,
more sense.
that
But
would make more sense. But get conflicting answers. What is the actual law again?
yeah, I think it kind of depends on the vet and who wants to.
Yeah.
So it's confusing. Yeah, definitely.
Now, that doesn't mean it's not manageable. Again, this is a learning curve. This is stuff we're going to figure out. Hopefully, we'll narrow down what is the exact laws. There are other farmers interested in coming, and then everything we've learned, we can pass on. And there's questions that we have that some Russians just don't understand. Why would you ask that question? Because to them, this is how it's always been, and they understand the system.
That's
We
definitely.
have a different system that we grew up with. We don't understand why some things are done this way over here. Even like tractors driver's license, very common in Europe, very common here in Russia. We don't have that in Canada.
No.
There's no such thing. The tractor is not even covered under the normal motor vehicle laws in Canada.
Right.
It's all on its own. And so again, it's a learning curve for us. I can't drive my tractor on the road. I can drive here on my land as much as I like, but I can't go on the road because I'm not licensed. Even though I've been driving a tractor since I was like 6, I can't drive it on the road. It's all learning curves. All right. That was a good question. Hello, Arend and Anneesa. I am Ilham from Kazakhstan. I like watching videos about your new life in Russia. Yes, it was not easy for you to get used to a new country with a different language. I would think everybody has that. Yeah, it can be a challenge for sure for anyone, I think. Did you like, greetings from Samara, and then another one, did you like the Exceed car of the Real Reporter guy? Chinese cars have advanced a lot. Yeah, it was nice. It drove good. Very fancy inside. I'd never been in one before. I've seen them, of course, driving on the road, but seemed like a nice car. Ghost, I would love to move to Russia or Georgia as an Orthodox Christian American, although I don't have any farming expertise. The Russian countryside is very beautiful, especially the monastery you visited. Absolutely, and Georgia is too. There's a lot of.
Georgia's a little bit more dirty.
It's more run down, but I meant as far as Orthodoxy. There's
Yeah.
so many cathedrals and churches and temples there, and people take it more. I shouldn't say more seriously, but I see a lot more people every time they see a cathedral doing the sign of the cross. I don't see that here. I see one lady that stood out. Probably people do it, but I see one lady that stood out to did it.
When she passed.
She came in view of the cathedral and did the sign of the cross, but I don't see it very often.
No,
here.
you don't.
And in Georgia, we've seen it a lot.
Yeah, even the taxi drivers who would be like beep bopping. I think it's hilarious because they'd have like this music, like really horrible music on the radio, and then they turn it down and
the cathedral come in view, they turn the music down, do the sign of the cross, and then music back on.
Yeah, as soon as they pass the cross. And I was like,
but it's beautiful. Both countries, I think Georgia has its share of issues still. Beautiful country, beautiful people. We have friends living there, friends that we've made there, and also Americans that we know that live there, and they're making a home, making a life, loving it. But there's issues there politically, just because of the pressures, east versus west. And coming to Russia, you don't have to come as a farmer. Actually, it would be much easier for us if we just came and got a job, basically. Figuring out all the farm stuff has probably been the most stress and most difficult part of the integration. Again, because of all the differences we just mentioned. I believe you will succeed and create a good life in Russia. We hope so. Thank you. Hi from Toronto. Wondering if you, your children, consider the idea of teaching Russians English. Cora does. Cora teaches English. She got one child, isn't there two? Two children right now. She teaches English. The world is not Canada. I don't understand your comment. Of course, the world is not Canada. D. Herman, to be fair, it's an old culture, but a very young country in its current form. Yes. Try and find out. Again, I don't know what that's for. Tune the sound up.
No, it's fine. I checked.
Hello, my beautiful people. So happy to see you. Thank you. Mrs. Tobermory. What a lot of red tape there. As we say in German. It is. I mean, every country has red tape. There are, maybe not for farming, but there are other laws in Canada that are also just totally bonkers and don't make any sense.
I think
the one, I guess, that was recent for where we lived in the last place, they made a law where you're not allowed to have a camp trailer on your land. You know, it's like, it's my land. I'll park whatever I want on my land. If I want to put 14 camp trailers on it, I'll put 14 on it. It's my farm. Who are you to say what I can and can't put on my land? So there's laws in Canada that don't make sense too.
The difference there, though, is that we grew up with all the laws and rules and regulations. And same thing with Russians here. They grew up with it, so they know the rules. They know the ins and outs. They know what is allowed, what isn't allowed, and how it works, and how to navigate the system. And we're still new, trying to figure out the system.
Yep.
So it's not like, you know, and I'm sure we'll figure it out, and it'll be great, and we'll have, you know, lots.
That's why I keep trying to emphasize. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's wrong. It's just
we
different.
just have no idea of the system, right? So we're still trying to learn it. And like even our kids, when our kids are older, they'll have have it all figured out. But the problem is the way the system is written. We can't figure it out on our own, and we keep asking the right people for the information, and they can't actually give us the information. So it's so hard to try to figure out what is the next step when nobody really knows what the next step is, right? So it's just, we didn't grow up with it. So if we grew up with it, we would have had a more of an understanding. Like, and that's why he refers to with Canada, is because he grew up with the system. He knows the ins and outs. You knew, you know, whether we could, you know, sell stuff at our end of our lane or not. We knew, you know, when you send animals to market, what they expected, what they didn't. You know, we knew all the ins and outs. We knew that we were allowed X amount of chickens before we had to get a quota system. We knew all those things, and we just don't know them here yet. And eventually we will. It's all growing pains, right?
Yeah, and I hear the same thing from many different immigrants, just because it's also in our nature. Well, I would think it's in everybody's, but we want to follow the law. And so sometimes I get suggestions. Oh, yeah, that's the law, but don't worry about it. Well, no, I can't do that. We, as Christians, should follow the law, anyways. And again, you can't build a business model. You can't build a business on broken laws. I mean, like, you need to figure out what the law is, and you need to live within those laws. And so find a way of farming with the way the rules are written. That's our plan to do. But it's a matter of figuring out what is the rule. I don't want to spend $10,000 on something and then find out I'm not allowed to do it. Now that money's wasted. I can't spend, you know, we don't have endless amounts of money. We can only spend the money once. And so we need to make sure we're doing everything properly. Thankfully, we have great people in the government we can work with, and we can slowly figure this stuff out. This one? Teresa Oxentenko. Oh, you got to tell me where that is. That a last name, Oxentenko? And if it is, where is that from? I'm probably saying it wrong. That's cool. I wonder where it's from. Tell me if that's your last name if you're still watching. $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Teresa. We appreciate that. But now I'm curious about the last name. D. Herman, where are you trying to make a point? Oh, that's for that guy. Marsha, big greetings to the friendly family from St. Petersburg. All right, be creative and get along. Never slam the door, especially with bureaucrats. That's great advice. That's what we try to do. Mrs. Tobermory, tractor driver's license, crazy. Yes. crazy for us in Canada, and since your name is Tobermory, I'm assuming that's where you're from.
Yeah.
But in the Netherlands, tractor driver's license is normal as well. So I already knew about it. It's just I've never had
I
one.
didn't realize it was here.
I've never had to have one.
I didn't realize how similar they were to European.
Well, it is Europe.
Yeah, but I didn't realize how similar and how
Oh.
many rules and regulations they've taken on from
Mhm.
Europe. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's actually a very close bond here. It seems like with Germany as well, especially in Nizhny. Ibrahim, I am sure you will figure out all the ins and outs of farming industry in Russia. You just need to be patient. You will soon forget how things are
Yeah,
done
and
in
hopefully
Canada.
we don't starve to death in the meantime.
Yeah, and if forget how things are done in Canada, probably not. But the reason we bring it up is not because we're like wishing for Canada or saying Canada's
No.
better. Again, it's just that's what we're used to, and we're explaining. Look, this is how things were. So in case Russians here are saying, "Well, how come you don't understand this law?" And we can say, "Well, because over in Canada we do it this way, so we never thought that it could be the other way." It's not.
It's very natural for people to compare. Anyway, it's like if we had.
I know, but yet some people have a real difficulty.
I know they don't understand. They feel like, well, if it's so much better over there, and that's not the case. That's not what we're saying at all. Like we know that it's not better over there. There are some things that may be better over there, but it is
not everything in Canada is bad.
No,
Lots of good things,
exactly. So it's not. It's just natural for anybody to compare anything. So it's like. It's a normal thing. So if he had grown up in Holland, he would compare it to Holland. And if I grew up in Canada, I compare it to Canada. It's just a normal thing for people in new circumstances to always be comparing. That in some of our audience is from Canada. So like quite a few people have actually reached out because Canada is not a really good country. A lot of them have reached out. So it's easier for them to then kind of understand where we're coming from by comparing.
Okay, everybody's complaining about the volume.
I don't think it's.
Well, there's 3 or 4 people complaining about the volume now.
I'll check it here.
We can't turn it up on our end, can you?
Yours is good.
You can hear me? Try turning up your end, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I got volume.
Have you considered selling stools, birdhouses that are at the market?
We have had them there.
Yeah, we've been selling them last 2 markets. So first one we didn't, the last 2 we did.
Yeah, as we progress too, I'm hoping to have some of these quilts that I've made or baby blankets there as well. Yeah, and just as we add to our supply of stuff.
Yeah, if you want one of these, it's a crib-sized quilt. Beautiful quilts.
I don't think they know what a quilt is here.
Okay, a quilt is when a lady takes perfectly good fabric, cuts it up into tiny little pieces, and then sews it back together in different shapes. That's essentially quilting. But it is a favorite pastime of many women some men too, in Canada and in the States.
Funny.
I don't know about other countries. But.
Okay, and I always tease them because I'm like, you take perfectly good wood and you cut it apart and you make something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Very true. Laws are also bent. Yes, they are. Cheers, guys. Good farming. Volume is low. Good to or difficult to hear. D. Herman. In the U.S., we have a county ag agent. It's a part-time elected job to help folks navigate farm laws and land regulations. Surely they have someone like that. Yeah, they got Minister of Agriculture. We keep getting directed there, but
he's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. Yeah. Like I said, we have access to channels for help, but it's still hard to figure out. And then, I mean, we had a long meeting with the local vet. I mean, I left more confused than when I came in. It's just some things are so different from the way they're done in Canada that it's hard for us to understand and grasp it all. And keep in mind, we're speaking through translation, and you can say, well, then learn the language. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we're working on it, planning on it.
Okay, so an example of talking to a vet, you've got really big terminology because you're talking about diseases and you're talking about, medications and you're talking about different things that some translators don't know the words for. And even if we did have the basic knowledge of the language, we would not be at that level at all to be able to communicate. Right? So we know a fair bit ourselves. So it's like our translator would say some things and we would then in English give him the answer because we were kind of following around, so we know
Yeah. And translators mess things up on both sides. So
Mhm.
there's stuff that he's saying that we're looking at our translator like, what? That doesn't make any sense. What is he talking about?
Mhm.
And I'm fairly certain there's probably things the other way around
Mhm.
where we ask a question and he's like, what? Are these people dumb?
That, and we, again, it's different here with the vet services. So in Canada, we would look after our own animals. We would assess our own animals. If our animal was getting sick, we would then call the vet ourselves.
No, first we would go treat it ourselves.
Well, we would normally treat it
Every
ourselves.
farmer has a stash of medicines in
Yeah,
his cupboard,
antibiotics,
needles, and
any of
everything
that. We
else.
would treat it, do the best we can, and if we could not get a result, we would then usually call the vet. The vet would then come in, assess, and figure it out together. And
And a lot of times I'd call the vet and talk on the phone and say, well, the cow's doing this and this. And they would say, have you tried this? Yeah, we tried that. Okay, we'll try this thing. Okay, we'll do that. Thanks.
yeah, so it's different. We're here, it seems like the vets have a different job
Almost seems like you're supposed to call the vet for everything.
for everything. And we're not used to that. Like, we're used to just self-sufficient life.
North Americans are extremely self-sufficient people.
Yeah, like,
Farmers, at
why would
least,
you
I don't
spend the
say
money on a
folks.
vet call if you didn't have to? The animal's gonna die anyway. Why would you bother? Right? We're here. It's a totally different system at all.
And in the feedlot, I was trained for it as well. I mean, we were trained by veterinarians to look after the animals. We did all
Yeah.
the medicating. I did epidurals on calves. On
Yeah.
calves, on cows.
Yeah.
I've stitched up cows. You know.
Prolapses. and-
Yeah, we did all of
Yeah.
it ourselves. I would never. Why
Right.
would you call a vet?
Right. So, but not like it doesn't mean we don't need vets. It's just it's something that we're not used to. So, like, we also then by doing that, you would have to study and figure out what's wrong with your animals, right? So it was like we've learned some illnesses and diseases and things like that that maybe they wouldn't know here as a farmer or as a, I don't know.
I don't know. Again, I don't want to make assumptions, but I don't know any farmers really. There's
They're
big industry.
gentlemen farmers, I guess, here more so that they would be the bosses would be. There would be workers, and then there would be
The big
people.
farms that we've gone to, well, at least one that was an owner there, but vast majority of the time we meet a manager,
Yes.
and the owners live somewhere far away.
Yeah, but the
It's just
owner that
different.
we met, I don't think actually does the work on his farm. I think he has employees, and he's just.
Oh, okay, so that's two farms. And no, I was thinking that other one, the Swiss cows that I really liked. The owner was there.
Okay.
But again, farmer in Canada, the owner has manure boots and overalls on,
Yeah.
and he milks his own cows. So
Yeah.
he gets up at 4 a.m. to go milk cows, and he works till late at night. And they don't hire. They might have one employee sometimes, but most of the time the family does the work themselves.
Yeah.
Even if they're milking 300 cows, it's still done as a family. You don't.
Yeah.
The owner doesn't wear a suit living someplace else. He's on his farm milking his cows, doing
All hands on deck is what we
Yeah.
always said. Like when we used to milk 300 goats, we were all hands on deck during kidding season. We'd be in the barn, we'd live, eat, and sleep in the barn almost, right? All babies on tow. We were in the barn.
It's just different. Again, it's not right or wrong. It's just stuff needs to be figured out. Teresa, yeah, my dad was Russian, and you're welcome. The name is Ukrainian. Interesting. So then that would be the X would be a noise, probably, right? So Ochentenko, maybe. Very neat. I've never seen a name like that. I was born in Texas and was raised in VA. That'd be Virginia, I'm guessing. Cool. One of the best dogs. Whoops, where'd that comment go? Something about dogs. There. One of the best dogs for kids / farm is a lab, black or yellow. That's our favorite dog. Yeah. Best dog we ever had was Ocean. It's our chocolate lab that you raised from
Second
a little
was
pup.
Ruby. She's with my parents.
Yeah. Yeah,
She
both
was the
chocolate
same
labs.
genetics as Ocean.
Good dogs,
Yeah.
100%.
I actually prefer chocolate, not yellows or blacks. I've had all three, or we've had all three. The chocolate, I find, I don't know what it is.
Yellow was more high strung. Black was really dumb.
Yeah, I
Could
find
be just luck of
I
the draw.
find that
but-
black was always like they always yapped, bark, 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 bark. The yellows were always harder to train, and my chocolates were always like
Yeah, well, that one black, yeah, was just stupid.
so dumb. I think it was inbred.
I don't
maybe.
know, man. That was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
He
so
didn't
dumb.
stay around.
No.
Sound is good. Volume is good. You have made amazing strides since I first discovered your channel during early days in Russia. Good on you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
it's been a lot of work. We're hoping this next year will be. I mean, you're not going to see as much building probably, but there's a lot of development happening mentally. We're making progress in language, also making progress all these laws. I mean, it all needs to figure it out. I spent a lot of my days on the internet. That's what it's been really. This last week's just really stressful and frustrating because the internet's just been terrible and everything has to be translated and loaded and you spend a lot of time just staring at your phone doing nothing. It's just mentally exhausting. Absolutely.
That's why we took the day off of technology and took a walk.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. It was a rough week. Tough.
Yeah.
And it's not physically. I'm not doing a lot physically, but you're just standing there staring at your phone, waiting for something to translate.
Yeah.
Every document, right? Trying to figure out Gasa Slugi and Tele2, everything has to be translated.
And Wesley, right? We went to the surgeon again to talk to the surgeon or the doctor about his knee to discuss whether or not surgery might be an option. So that's really draining. And then we're obviously doing research on that as well because we're trying to figure out whether he should have surgery or not have surgery. And
all that, and we have to pay for it.
Well, yeah,
so
and it's
240,000 rubles later. It's like can't come at a worse time.
I know.
So I have to decide what we're doing there too.
Mm.
Your volume is cracking a bit when you talk. Maybe the callers are hitting it or something.
Might be yours. I don't know. You like to move and fling your arms around.
Oh yeah, I'm a hand talker. It must be half Italian. Volume is low and sketchy. Audio volume is fine, the next person says. I don't know. Kurt, previously, Slavic tribes lived on the territory of Holland and Germany. Well, I would say they're the same looking people. I don't know if they're Slavic or not, but if I've learned my history properly, Vikings lived here as well. They came down the rivers, settled here. A lot of the monarchy was Viking blood. And that would be the same bloodlines as the Germans, the Dutch, the Swedes. Same people. Any luck on finding any cows, good cows to bring on the farm? I went to look at 3. Milk yields weren't real hot, but the guy had recently lost his pasture. So the explanation made sense. And now they were stuck in a barn eating hay. And it wasn't the greatest quality of hay. And that's why he was getting rid of them, because he didn't have his pasture anymore. So the milk yield, that made sense. They were a bit on the skinny side again. I think if we brought them here and fed them grass, that would help and give them some better, just better feed all around. There was 2 older ones, so one Jersey, older Jersey, one younger Jersey, and one Gorbatovskaya Swiss cross. I wasn't too keen on the smaller Jersey. Other than that, it wasn't too bad, I guess. We're waiting to hear back from documents on that. I haven't heard back yet, but aside from that, I haven't looked at any other cows. Again, it's a lot of effort and work to figure it all out, to get it all lined up, and then go look, and then, we will. I'm hoping very soon to buy a couple of cows. What about starting a construction company? We're working on that as well, and we probably will. I had high hopes of not doing that here. I wanted to stick to farming.
Again, I worry about how to figure that out.
Well, if it's just so much a job, it's not the end of the world. But
I know, but it's so hard to price things. Like,
we may have an announcement on that soon. We'll leave it for now, but it very likely will happen in some capacity soon. Anneesa, unfold and show one of your quilts there. Ruth would like to see it. Rhonda says quilting is a beautiful skill.
This is my favorite.
Does it show up? We have to wait for our cameras to load.
So it's got beautiful butterflies.
So if you're not familiar with it, you cut up perfectly good fabric, like I said, and then you cut it all, it's all different pieces put together on here together. But she does an amazing job. And then they're filled. So they have the front, and then there's a back,
and then
there's what do you call it, like a thicker fabric in it, and then it's also, now these are not hand quilted. You've machine quilted these, right? But you get all these. I don't know if you can see this one, but you get all these different shapes in there. Does that show up on camera? Probably not. It's a lot of work. She does an amazing job. She used to have a lot more time for it. She spends a good portion of her week editing them. I don't think people realize how exhausting that is either. it doesn't make us a ton of money, but it's the only income we have right now, and so it's pretty important that she carries on with that, I guess. So we both wish that she had more time for other stuff, but right now, until our farm starts turning a profit, it's kind of a necessary thing.
That's kind of partly the reason why we are about a week behind too, because we've been trying to switch it up that I could edit, like pick a whole day, as opposed to like, yeah, editing like every single day, trying to, yeah. And then we just edit like one day, single day, and then I can get like a whole bunch of
That's the
videos
whole-
done. And yeah, that's kind of.
So, when will they start speaking human language? Well, I don't know if that's a joke or what, but there's lots of human languages. What do kids do on Sunday? They'll play, do whatever they feel like doing.
Well, today we took a big long walk as a family and strawberry picked, and
Yeah, Sundays are a bit
down
more
to the
relaxed.
lake,
Usually
and
people sleep in a little
we
bit
played
more.
games.
We try not to do a whole lot of extra work on Sundays normally.
We watched part of a sermon.
Yeah, generally we watch
read
sermon in the morning
Bible.
together. Every Sunday sometimes a bit different. Our lives are not the most organized at the moment, but that's kind of what we try to. And today was more spent on. We spent
Togetherness.
what, 3 hours going for a walk today or something?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice.
that. Why no subtitles? There's never subtitles. It's live. You'll have to wait till tomorrow before YouTube puts subtitles on. We don't do that. YouTube does. Mad Max, if you're only going to be driving the tractor 20 to 30 kilometers an hour, it's silly to need a driver's license. It might be silly, but so again, in Canada, I'm going to compare again. In Canada, there's policemen around, but you only get pulled over if you're doing something wrong or if they suspect you of doing something wrong. So they might be hiding somewhere with their radar gun. If they see you speeding, they'll pull you over. The odd time at night, they'll have a ride program where they pull everybody over to ask if you've been drinking. But for the most part, yeah, they wait till you're speeding, or if they see you driving by and you're on the phone, pull you over, or if they see you driving by and you don't have your seatbelt on, or you have a tail light out, or something. Otherwise, not. Here in Russia, they don't do that at all. They'll set up somewhere, and every car, like they might say, okay, today is I don't know, it's van day, and every van gets pulled over. Next time it might be car day or big truck day or whatever, and they just pull them all over and ask for the paperwork, check to see if their ownership, the registration, or insurance, driver's license, see if you have everything. So same thing with the tractor. Even if you're doing nothing wrong, you might still get pulled over that day if it happens to be tractor day, I guess. I don't know how exactly that would work. I've never seen a tractor pulled over here yet, but I'm assuming it would be the same thing. So I've been pulled over lots in the vehicle. First time was pretty nervous, but I actually find the police are friendlier here, and it's not a big deal. You just show them all the paperwork they need, and then away you go. Every time my paperwork was good. I think once I had something wrong with my insurance paper or something. I got a small ticket for that. Not a big deal. Very friendly about it. Super nice guys. But it's different. So whereas in Canada, again, if you don't do anything wrong, you likely never get pulled over, and so you probably could get away with not driving with a license there for a very long time, any kind of license. Here, you could get pulled over at any point. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's just because that's how it works. They just do routine checks. I follow some of your progress there and been waiting to visit Russia, but I also watch the Ukraine situation. What's your general area? How does Ukraine situation affect you all? We're in Nizhny Novgorod, which is, I don't know, over 4 hours east of Moscow. So quite a ways from Ukraine. Does it affect us? Not immediately. The odd time we have some terrorist attacks here. Not right here, but I mean in our region. We do get terrorist attacks from Ukraine. Obviously, that's unsettling, but it's not. It doesn't really, from day to day, it doesn't bother us at all, basically. And lots of people come visit. There's people from the West coming all the time, and there's lots of other foreigners moving here. I wouldn't be worried about it at all. The dubbing was freaky, like AI robot. Mad Max volume. I thought maybe your mic was off, but I see the green circle. Plus, when you tilt your chin down, your volume immediately doubles. Maybe I should move it up a bit.
Put on your hat. I've seen people do that.
Did it?
Mm.
I don't know how that would work. How much higher can I go?
Just stick it on here. I'm serious. Can you still hear him?
Does that work? Seriously? Seems like a silly thing to do. Let me know if that's working for you guys. I am Russian, 35 years in Canada. I have a suggestion for approaching your understanding of the agricultural system in Russia. Whoops. Now, why does it keep doing that? Hang on. There it is. Why not begin by looking at the rules for farming inspections? Oh, trust me, we have. We've been looking and looking. Dean Jones, they've only been in Russia for 18 months. No one can learn a language that fast. Try learning English in such a short time.
I still
Offended
laugh.
cats.
I still laugh because Maddie is like at the stage of learning English, and she uses small sentences. It's like now she's starting to use a little bit bigger, but it's like, drink, please. May I, drink, please. So it's like it's interesting how many people just don't grasp that we need to literally learn from those baby stages.
And some people learn really good in the desk, and some people I prefer to learn just
Yeah.
every day. I'm learning sentences. I'm learning a new word. Oh, what's that mean? Oh, okay. And then I try using the word myself. And another thing, yeah, people don't seem to understand is that children all know how to speak before they go to school, and none of them went to school to learn how to speak. They just learned it by listening to other people, and that's basically where most of us are learning. Cora, on the other hand, learned a lot with the teacher, and some of our other children will be doing that in the future as well. But yeah, you can learn a lot just by listening to people.
They like the audio. The audio is good.
All right, seems dumb to have it up there. You could have stuck this underneath the hat, I guess.
You can if you like.
But it's still the same strange spot, but maybe it'd be louder.
Yeah, but the problem is you
Turn it down. It's too loud.
you move around and you jiggle and you, right?
I jiggle because I'm fat.
Yeah, but you don't sit still. Like you're just
Yeah,
moving.
she says she didn't even deny it.
I know you are. You eat like a gazillion cookies.
I like cookies.
Right? I can tell you to stop eating anything, but you just don't listen.
I like to eat. Got to work harder. Turn up your microphones. I can hardly hear you. I think we covered that already. For example, what would inspectors label as a violation if it occurred on your farm rather than focusing solely? Well, that depends. Most of them, like I said, there's different rules. So there may be a rule for stuff, but they overlook it. Let's give you like some old people as an example. There may be something that you need a permit for that is technically against the law, but they don't enforce it because they realize that this old person it's their only source of income, and so they just overlook it and let it go. There's a lot of stuff like that where the rule is one thing, but enforcement is extremely relaxed and nobody cares because they realize people need income and they need stuff to do. What I'm saying is that I can't build a business model on that. I can't spend thousands of dollars developing a business on the hopes that nobody will ever charge me for it. Okay, that might work for people who are already here, but we got one shot at this. Okay, if we run out of money and it don't work, that's it. Then what do we do? Right? I got a lot of mouths to feed, so it has to work. I can't build a business on hoping they never enforce the actual law. I got to figure out what the law is. And even though the people enforcing the law will say, well, this is the law, but we won't enforce it, we would still have to play within the parameter of the law. Plus, it's very public. We're on YouTube. So, I mean, you guys might not complain, but the next guy that watches will. And, we have to try to obviously keep things legal that way too. If I understand correctly, you said it is difficult for a foreigner to get a SIM card now. Extremely, yeah. Now, I just received another email. There is some new app that I have to look into it yet. I don't know. But the way it stands right now, you have to have biometrics and things done before you can get a SIM card, which takes time, a lot of time. And it used to take even more. Like I know people who literally, I just got another text from a friend of mine after he heard my video and he said, yeah, you're 100% right. He worked diligently at it from April of this year. So quite a few months trying to get this thing done and it would not work. I forget how many tries. We're filming on my phone, so I can't look it up.
I think you said
multiple
13,
tries. Yeah.
13 or 14.
To get it to work. And finally, just now it worked and it's meshed. So if that's the case, and you're coming on a 1 week holiday, how are you?
Not gonna
people are like,
happen.
oh, many businesses have Wi-Fi. Oh, that's great, but you can't count on that, man. If I go to a foreign country, I need to be able to use the internet.
I think of how scared I was when we went to Georgia and we got off the plane and there was no internet and we
Mhm.
didn't have a Wi-Fi connection and we got in this vehicle with a complete stranger and we're driving through this foreign country.
Yeah, middle of the night, we
Middle of
dropped
the
off at
night
some
trying to,
place that's supposedly our house. We're like, where are we?
yeah. So I can imagine how scary that was.
Especially driving through that dark area with all the graffiti and broken
graffiti.
stuff. We're like, oh,
Exactly.
we're going to the ghetto.
Yeah. So I just couldn't imagine coming here now as a tourist and not having any way of communicating to tell your family that you made it, to call a cab, to translate, to ask for directions,
Yeah.
any of that. It's
Even the
like,
simple sign, you guys understand exit. I mean, I know what it looks like now, but when I
Yeah.
got here, I didn't know what exit or enter
No.
was. So you take your phone and you take a picture of the thing and you read it. You can't do that without
Yeah.
internet, right? So
right. And there's more and more people that are curious just to come here as
Yep.
tourists to check it out because, well, Russia was just such a foreign thing. Like, you didn't go to Russia. Like, Russia's scary and Russia's bad. And now it's becoming more and more that people are like curious on
the
on
concept
coming.
behind the law is good. It's anti-terrorism, but the way it's been implemented, I think, is just terrible. And I hope they fix it because I really think people need to come to Russia and see it for themselves, see the people, talk to the people, realize that it's not the boogeyman. This is a great country with amazing people and just massive opportunity. People need to come and see it. But then we got to make it easy for them to come too and simplify things a little bit. And right now it's not that the SIM card is in the wrong direction. Now, what I've heard is that this has already been heard. People have already talked about how difficult it is, and some changes have been implemented. So it might be, again, I don't know this for sure yet, but it might be possible to start doing some of the biometric stuff before you come. And if that's the case, then possibly when you land, you could get a SIM card. But I have to verify that yet.
You could become a cat farmer.
Cat farm.
Russians like cats very much.
You said the name right, and my mother is native to VA. I'm also Cherokee, so I'm a mixture of Native American and Scottish and Irish and Eastern European. So we would call that,
A mutt.
we would refer to it lovingly as a mutt.
I'm a Canadian mutt. That's what I would say.
Is mutt strictly a Canadian word? Do you know?
No, I don't know. A mutt is a mixed breed of a dog.
Yeah,
Normally.
so a dog that has like multiple different genetics, we call it a mutt. And so many Canadians also, because Canadians come from all over the planet. There's like, what is Canadian? Canadians are all mixed up
Yeah.
from some
So my
place.
mom would come from England, like my mom's family, like her ancestors would be like English
English and Irish.
and Scottish, because the McLean. And
Where's the Irish come in? Is that from your dad's
my
side?
dad's side would have Scottish, and I'm not sure the
One of them's got Irish. in it, too.
Irish. Maybe it is. Anyway, I just think it's interesting. Oh, and then we would have English on that side as well.
Yep.
As well.
Yep.
So
See, now I'm purebred.
that's what you think. but
I'm
I don't
Dutch
think
as
you
far
are.
back as our family tree can tell.
That's what they say. Yeah.
But now our kids are all mutts too. And I say that lovingly, not in a bad way.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's a joke. It's like, yeah. I'm just a
Rhonda,
mutt.
wow, that's an expensive surgery. Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
It was. We were quite sad when we left. That we were built up with hope. Hey, there may be something that can fix Wes's knee. It's awesome. And then we got the price. And we're like, oh man.
And that's his one knee. So there's potentially he's going to have the other knee done as well. So that means that's a lot of money.
Your volume is great here, coming in totally clear too. I love border collies.
Yeah.
Is that what I call a Mennonite dog? Border collie?
Yeah,
They got the two different
they're
eyes?
the ones that like herd animals.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the problem with them, if not trained properly, they will herd, and naturally they're just busy all the time. So if they don't have something to do, they're bound to find some sort of animals to chase and herd, and and I don't have time to train them. They're very hard to train.
Yeah.
Well, unless it's a house, but if you're not on a farm, that's fine. You can have it in your.
Yep. Beautiful quilt with butterflies.
Thank you.
Mrs. Tobermory likes it. You guys are very new to absolutely different country, different culture, different rules and laws. I live in the U.S. for many years and still have some misunderstandings of laws and frustration with it. Yeah, thank you for your understanding. Ruth, you do beautiful work, Anneesa.
Thank you.
Dimitri, Vikings is about different Novgorod. No, it's about Russia is what I was talking about. They have a lot of influence here. And it's interesting because people here say I look Russian, and I look around and I say, well, you all look German and Dutch. So it's the same people. That's why there's a lot of blonde, blue-eyed people here.
Mhm.
If you picked up people from here in Russia and dropped them off in the Netherlands, and you picked up Dutch people and brought them here, you would never tell the difference.
Mm.
Hello from North Carolina. Awesome quilt. Good seeing you guys. God bless. Thank you. I'm afraid the real documentary, real reporter documentary. It's funny that it does that. Now I gotta go find it
Yeah,
back.
you just have to hold it, or you have to go on the side.
No, I did, and then it just jumped.
Mm.
I'm way behind anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it is. Somewhere. Oh, right here. I'm afraid the real reporter documentary would paint a target on your back for YouTube. This would be our second documentary with them, so hopefully not.
He is really good. He's not an American. Everybody thinks because he speaks such good English that he's an
He's actually
American,
Russian.
but he's
never
actually
been to the States.
Yeah,
He learned his English here.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine. Give yourself time. Wishing you strength and all the best from California. Thank you. Thank you for the laugh, Anneesa.
I said moo, and somebody said we were talking like animals, and I was like moo moo, and then.
Hello, were you able to find siding brake in Russia? Is the aluminum coil the same? That I bought that brake here. Yes, it is a Van Mark, so very good brake, same as we would have had in Canada. Aluminum coil. I have not found aluminum coil. I'm actually using actual metal, real metal, and it comes in sheets, either 2 meters by 1.25 or 3 by 1.25. Very unhandy to work with, but that's all I've got right now. So if you're not familiar, we would buy everything in a coil. I don't even know how long the coil would be. 100 feet maybe.
Yeah, but what's
it's all wrapped up in a roll, and we actually have a coil unroller beside the brake. You just pull in what you need and you use it. These come in big unhandy sheets. I cannot do it by myself. I need two guys to help me load this 3-meter sheet into the brake and cut the pieces that I need. Anyway, once you get past that, it works, but it's not. I would like to find aluminum at some point.
It's funny because when we were in Grand Line there that time, right on the floor, there was actually rolls of aluminum.
No, they're rolls of steel. They cut them and roll them for you. But it's not the same. Like we would buy them in a box, and I can buy them in a multitude of different colors. And if I can't forget, I think they're like 100 feet long, which would be like 30. No. Yeah, 30 meters. Roughly. It was your moo that cracked me up. You can put the microphone on your collar to increase the volume.
Yeah,
Sound
that's
is
all.
fine. Thank you. Here in my Manitoba tractors, half on shoulder, half on road. How many cows will you buy? Well, right now I can only afford a couple, 2-3 cows, probably it for now, but then we'll keep growing. I have room for 6 to tie up right now once I get the concrete poured. The barn, the whole thing would have room for 16. So with the grant, we were hoping to buy 10. We would have been 5 this year and 5 next year. We did not get the grant now, so we'll be doing it on our own, and hopefully 2 or 3 to start with, and then kind of grow from there. People wait to pass. Tractor's only 20 to 30,000, so easy pass. Okay, it should be kilometers. Okay, yeah. So for us, K stands for 1,000 as well. KM would be. Dan Rader, given you're from Canada, do any of the kids know some French? Do they want to? Same question with Dutch. No, I don't think our kids know any French. They have been homeschooled, I guess. Even then.
Yeah, we didn't know French.
Nah, I went to a normal school. Well, it was private school, but still normal. Had normal curriculum. We only learned a little
honestly,
bit of French.
I have to say, hands down, the English lessons that they give the kids here must be so much better than the French we would have learned in our schools. Because, like, I went through, I think it was 6 grades of French, and I really know nothing of the French.
Yeah, I mean, you can say a few things, numbers.
Very minimal, and I find that you cannot.
One difference, though, is that English is actually necessary. So the Russian kids that learn English can actually benefit. Like, a lot of stuff is in English. The movies that they might want to watch, the songs on the radio, computer games they might play. Whereas French is, in today's world, it's kind of useless to learn. Like, it's not the main spoken language in the world.
Yeah,
is English.
I guess it was French
back in the day. Back in the day. Now, if you're in Canada, of course, there's large French-speaking population, so it would be extremely beneficial in those areas. But the rest of Canada doesn't speak any French. Like Northern Ontario is heavy French, where we've milked our goats. There's like lots of French people, and so it would be beneficial to know French.
Yeah.
But where I grew up and where you grew up, nobody speaks
No,
French.
I guess.
It's totally pointless to learn French down there.
Now, as for Dutch, I really had a wish that our children would have learned more Dutch and that you had have taught them more of that.
They don't speak much now. They know a few words in Dutch, but that's it.
Yeah. So, but here, the third language, I guess, would be German.
Yeah.
So I've told Cora that when she masters Russian, which she's doing amazing, and I would like her to start to study German because I do think it would be beneficial, even if she became translators and things like that. I think she could do really well in that. And she loves to talk to people. So I think it would be great for her to learn another language. And being that she's got the sponge, her brain is so intelligent, I think it would very much benefit her. And why not? As I said there, why not just stick another language in there? I think it would be great. Even Dutch, if she
once you've already mastered one extra one, that part of your brain's activated. It's easier.
Absolutely, 100%. Because like you pick up words like it's nothing. A girl I went to school with when we were actually in high school in French class, she was from China, and she was a whiz at French, and I couldn't believe it. And she spoke English like so clear, and she had only been in Canada because her dad was a doctor. He came here to do more studies, and they had only been in Canada for 4 years, and she was so good at English, and I couldn't believe it. And then she was whizzing through the French class, but then she's the one that said that to me. Well, once you know 2 languages, it's almost like it's so much easier, right? It's like your brain picks it up.
Makes sense.
At a younger age too. I think the younger the kids can learn another language, the better, because then obviously it's great for their development.
Yep, to pick it up sooner.
For
sure. Greetings to Nizhny Novgorod from Moscow. I skipped a bunch. There was one talking about food in Norway or something.
Yeah, Finland. Finland just
Finland, that's what it is.
Artificial it says meat. In Finland they're building artificial meat factories. No more farming. Yeah, artificial meat is produced in laboratories by growing animal cells and tissues derived from either muscle cells or fertilized eggs.
Gross.
Yeah.
Please continue to support real farmers, the men and women that grow your food. Support them.
So the next one was, and being that you're asylum immigrants to another country, you have to follow the laws or you stand the chance of getting or not getting your citizenship.
There's another good one.
Yeah. And well, we're not asylums anymore. We are temporary residents.
The same thing would still apply.
Absolutely.
How would that look? I don't know if it gets on the news, we're breaking the law or something. Hello, lovely Anneesa and Arend. I am late for the live stream again, but I hope you're fine. You look tired though.
You are.
I've actually had a sore neck and a headache all day long, so I'm doing my best to.
Yeah.
Yep. And she's probably tired too. She's overworked. Overworked and underpaid.
I just starting to get tired. What I find actually is that the camera, and I think we'll need to move it down next time. The camera's up quite high, so like when I look down, I look really tired, and then it's like for me to see that, I really have to like do this. So I think we'll have to move it. Yeah, like, and I feel like when you're talking, you're kind of talking here when the camera's up. So next week, I think we'll have to do better at putting it down just slightly to be more comfortable.
Good evening and welcome to Look More Awake. What food self-sufficiency have you achieved so far? Lettuce.
Yeah.
We're eating our own lettuce.
Yeah.
And peas.
Yes, and peas.
A good belly full of peas.
Just peas in the pods, or in the whole pods right now.
Right.
We're not breaking them apart. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is.
It is, absolutely.
It's
exciting when you get
onions out there, but.
Oh yeah, I eat one. I eat a stem.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them to be big bulbs, so
But it's exciting when you get to that part. We had that on our last homestead as well, and you get to that part where you're eating like your whole meal is from the farm. You know, you get your own eggs, you get your own bread. You know, you made from grain, and we got our own taters, our own. You know, it's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We're getting there.
We're getting closer.
I am Russian, and I don't understand why can't some senator just put you on the list for citizenship by presidential order? If anyone should get grants or supports at all, it is your family.
Thanks
That's
so
awesome.
much.
Thank you very much. We don't feel worthy of that. We're just normal people living normal lives. Obviously, I would welcome citizenship. I would love that, and it would greatly simplify a lot of things. But you know, it's not like we're in any immediate
we're not
need.
entitled to any
No.
of it.
I wouldn't turn it down though. Have a good time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going for an evening walk. That's a wonderful idea. Find Ronald's channel. I am a moderator, live from Russia channel. Small correction. He did. Oops, lost some. Hi, today I tried to buy some of your cookies in Dalny, but unfortunately the fair was not today. No, we only do it on Fridays here. And the girls are talking about going to. Oh, I always mess this town up too. Sorativka, I think it's called. Anyway, it's another town nearby. They have a fair on Wednesdays, and so they've asked me to drive them to that now as well. Papa Bear, I grew up in the west end of Winnipeg, east of the airport. Mad Max, I'm in Wolseley. Offended Cat, how do you like Russian cucumbers? Cucumber's a cucumber? Ronald from Krasnodar. There must be a private conversation going on here. Imagine cabbages grow better.
Yeah, when they say at somebody, at whatever, they're talking to each other.
Oh, okay. Hi, can you purchase a small farm in Russia? I see large farms aren't available to non-citizens. Oh, I don't know what you mean by a small farm, basically. You, as a foreigner, can buy any piece of commercial, industrial, or residential property as long as it's not close to a military institution or close to a strategically important place, I guess, or a border. You would need permissions for the borders. I don't think it's impossible, but it would be tougher. But obviously, by military and strategically important places, you cannot. Agricultural land is only available to citizens. And so you need to establish a company with a Russian citizen and do it that way. So I don't know if that fits in with what you're thinking. If you want to just buy, you can lease it. You can lease land. If you want to just buy a dasha, maybe even buy 5 dashes. Maybe you find a village where there's a lot of old houses that have fallen down. You could bulldoze them all, clean them up, build one house. Now you've got a big yard, and you can grow all the food you need on that easily. And then you can lease more land if you want to rent land. Rent as much as you want.
Yeah, if you're just looking for an acreage like you would have in Canada or the US, I think that would be the simplest.
Yeah.
And you just wanted a handful of chickens and maybe a milk goat.
Oh yeah, because these dashes, they've got
quite a few.
A lot of them have pretty big yards, depending which village you go to.
Yeah.
But some of them have big yards. You could easily grow all the food you need for a year in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can live there year round too. The gas is now coming to most villages as well, at least in our area. So I mean, you've got cheap heat all winter long. I buy local now. No more big box stores. Awesome. For commercial agriculture, a foreign citizen must either rent agricultural land. Oops.
Land for a long time or obtain Russian citizen in order to legally own the land.
Yeah, or start a company with a Russian citizen. When does Real Reporter podcast about you guys come out? I don't know. We have another one coming out first with us and them, or we and they, or however it translates. Do you know how to write it? You could write it on the screen. It's a fairly large Russian channel that did a documentary. So we had one with Russia 24. It's out now. We have a translated version of it with English translations. I need to just check whether or not we can post that, because it's not ours. It's their documentary, but I don't think it's available to the Western audience. And so I was going to ask them if we could post that. It was about, I think, 5 different immigrants doing different things. We were one of them. There's a pianist from Italy. There's a Dutchman that works in St. Petersburg, lives in St. Pete now. There's, who else is in there? You remember? Anyway, there's a bunch of immigrants on that. There's a pretty good documentary, I think.
I almost had it all, but I wasn't quite sure of the other.
All right, so that one just came out. We did that one first. Then we did this one that she's posting on the screen right now. She just hit post. So that one is a YouTube channel, and that one would be coming out. They do a lot of
That
interviews.
translates for us. We and them.
We and them. Okay.
But
And they
it's we and them.
do a lot of documentaries with foreigners. So that one I think will be coming out next, but I'm not 100% sure. And then we did Real Reporter last, and he usually takes about a month to edit. A week and a half ago, so I would say probably. Southern Manitoba has surprised French in there. The whole Louis is an interesting part of Canadian history where the Mounties were actually sent out to stamp down this rebellion. And basically, it's not really a rebellion. It's just Métis people have been living there for a long time already. Long time. Generations. And then all of a sudden, Manitoba becomes part of Canada, and they start sectioning off this land and giving it to new immigrants, which these guys were already farming there. Previously, you had natives living there, and they traveled around a lot following the herds, but the Métis actually settled it, built communities, and built farms along the Red River, a lot of them. And so when the Canadian government started subdividing this up and selling it to new people, obviously the Métis were understandably upset about it, and that created a rebellion. That's actually part of Canadian history to look up. But there's still a very large French-speaking population there because of that. That's one for Aaron, but it's interesting what the next few years will bring there. Many Western farmers would start family farms like Finsters if and when they immigrate to Russia. Yes, we are definitely pioneering something that I think many more will come as things continue to deteriorate in the West. Right now, certain agricultural sectors in Canada are booming, because especially with the high meat price. But once that hits the table, I don't think people are going to be able to afford to buy this meat. And I would suspect you're going to see a huge change in the next 2 years in the agricultural sector. Right now already, Canadian government again did just a really dumb move in trying to target the American economy, which is impossible. The American economy is massive, and Canada is barely even noticeable. You cannot go to war with the American economy if your economy is the size of Canada's. So if you're supporting that, stop it, because it's terrible. And the American economy is now going to go after the dairy sector, which has a very unfair advantage over America. Canadian government heavily protects the dairy industry as well as the eggs and broilers in Canada under the quota system, which is great for Canadian farmers. But American farmers are often losing their shirt, and Canadian farmers still sell milk into the States, and American farmers cannot do it the other way around because of the protection system. And so the American government has said they're going after that. Trump already did in his first term, pushed really hard, and they started allowing some dairy products into Canada. And now I would suspect you're going to see in the next few years more. So I don't know where that's all going to take it, but I think the agricultural sector in Canada is going to take a real big beating here in the next 2-3 years. It's already bad enough. I mean, you have carbon taxes pushing the fuel prices up. You know, commodity prices were not that hot, but equipment prices are up, interest rates are up, and land prices are crazy. A lot of farmers are having a hard time, and people looking elsewhere. Russia, I think, can be a huge opportunity for these guys, and I think these farmers coming to Russia would be absolutely amazing for Russia. It's just a matter of making it work, because there's still a lot of laws in place that make it really difficult to navigate and figure out how to successfully come here and integrate and start a farm. And that's why you don't see a lot of it. You know, people are like, well, if they want to come, how come we don't see many farmers here? That's the main reason. It's extremely difficult to do what we're doing. And in many ways, we're pioneering it. We're trying to figure out how to make this work, because I know more people would like to come. Guys, God bless you there in Russia. Greetings from Austria. There's one you don't see every day. Master, it's not just the Canadian government, it's also European governments, such as the Netherlands, and a country where my parents are from, Turkey. They already ate the farmers, and they're paying for it. Yep. Have you heard anything about the channel? I don't even know how to say that. This channel is hosted by a priest, Father Dionysi. He has 10 children. He has a large farm and is engaged in livestock. No, I have not. Is there any way we can copy and paste that and I can look it up later or not?
I could just screenshot it.
Screenshot. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Why there is no lightning protection on buildings? There are no fire extinguishers during the work. I'm so tired of hearing about lightning protection.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Concept.
I don't know why. I've never heard of it. Like 100 years ago, they built barns in Canada with lightning protection on it. Since then, I've never seen anything built with lightning protection. I don't know why that is such a. I only see it from Russian comments. I don't know if they're all afraid of lightning or I have no idea. We don't build anything with lightning rods on the roof. There's trees here that are much taller than our house.
Yeah,
They
but
would
not
hit
even
for-
that. We're grounded in the ground too. Maybe they didn't have foundations.
I have no idea. It's only ever Russian comments that talk about lightning
We
protection.
used to years ago. It used to be a really common thing to have lightning rods in your house as well.
Like I
and
said,
then-
100-year-old barns. I've never seen it on anything new.
yeah, but yeah, you're in like houses
They had those old
too.
spikies with the balls in them,
Yeah.
and then
On the houses too, they had them as well. What else did we? Oh, they did a rod for like the hydro to ground it,
electricity. Yeah.
or the electricity. I mean,
Do they have chemtrails there? I'm not a big believer in chemtrails. Do airplanes leave a mark in the sky? Some do, some don't. Nothing like in Canada, though. Master, we have the highest grocery prices over all of Europe now in the Netherlands, and the producers refuse to go to Parliament and explain themselves.
that doesn't surprise me. Nobody's held accountable anymore in the Western world.
No. Food should be available, and yeah, they're trying to make you increasingly reliant on the government and on the system, and that's where the whole fake food thing comes into. Trying to get
One thing I
everybody to eat
really
crickets.
appreciate here is that like food that is like not like I find there's so many different ways for people to make money, and I think that's why you don't see people begging on the street very much, and like you know those type of people. Like you do, but not really. Like because I find that they can find ways to make a little bit of money, and one of them being is like they can get some of the older foods and then they can resell it. Like somebody will give it to them really cheap and then they'll resell it for animal food or there's just different ways. And I think it's also a way to like not waste food. And I feel like that's real common here. Like we knew that the church group too, like they would get some stuff that's just going to get expired or just outdated. Um, like it wasn't outdated, but it was going to go outdated, and they would get it from the local grocery store, and then they would use it for their like facility that they were running. And I just think that's really cool that they kind of still have that. Where in Canada, I find it's almost like you're not allowed to take the day old stuff because it's
No,
forbidden.
Barney's did.
Yeah, but he was making a huge business out of that, and he was making a huge killing out of that, and I just feel like it's different. It's different here.
Everybody sells a lot of different stuff. Even in the market, it seems less regulated than the Canadian market for sure.
Yeah, but you can even see like at these little vendors and stuff that it's not regulated to the point of if somebody's there just trying to make a living, why are you gonna knock them down?
Yeah.
Right? Like if grandma went and or picked a bouquet of flowers and she took it to the market and you don't have maybe they do, but it appears that they don't have the people that will go to the market and say you can't do that because you didn't do all this stuff. They realize that that person's just trying to make a living, and that's cool. I really like that.
You know the laws can be bent to meet your wishes. You give them an envelope if you follow me.
I don't.
Those days
So,
are
no.
basically over. Yes, a lot of that used to happen that way, but
And I wouldn't feel right doing that anyway.
Actually, is one thing I also appreciate. I'm sure corruption still happens, but they clamp down on it every now and again. You hear about somebody getting punished for corruption versus Canadian politics. You never hear about anybody ever getting punished over there, and it's just as corrupt or worse. But I don't believe in doing business that way either. I think we need to, as Christians, follow the law and do things as much as possible within the parameters of law. Next week, I'm in Russia in Crimea, Sevastopol, where I'm originally from. Awesome. Yeah, I want to go there sometime. David, my son shot the glass balls on our barn's lightning rods. I think a lot of kids did that. With grocery prices so high, many people, including me, head to Germany. I can fill my shopping carts and it only cost me 200 euros. Hello, Sevastopol. I lived there for 6 years. I love Crimea. Salute from Arizona. Yes, the Western ideology comes down to one word: depopulation. That's crazy. And you look at the numbers in Western countries. Russia's no exception. But populations are in decline big time.
Now we've been to many, many meetings with like immigration and things like that, and that OPA agency or whatever, and they're talking about it, the depopulation issue here, and they're talking about, well, what are we going to do to fix it,
The
right?
entire Western world is on the brink of civilization collapse, and yet in the West they keep preaching that we have too many people, too many people, too many people.
Yeah, we're here. They've seen that's not good. We got to fix it. If we want to
Russia's
fix our
the
culture, we gotta
only
keep our
country that I
culture.
know of.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is
which I
actively
thought
trying
was
to combat.
great. You know, we want to encourage, more people, not less people.
Well, not just through immigration though. They want to encourage
No.
people to have larger families.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. So, like, we had the immigration. So, through the immigration, they had a conversation on population and how the population on decline, and we need to increase it. But then we were accepted this award actually for a large family, and we were they also touched on it there as well about growing population and large families being a good idea and that type of thing, right?
You can find it on YouTube. Just type in "farming routine of a priest."
Okay.
Okay. Did you sell all the sweets you made? This week was actually a
not very good.
bad week at the market. It was cold and windy, cool and windy. So no, they didn't have very good sales. The first week they did pretty good. Second
week
week
they did
was better, and then this last week was not good at all. But I told them that's good too. You got to have ups and downs. So I think now after 3 markets, they've actually paid for all of their supplies. They still haven't made any money. They have now paid for all of their flour and sugar and chocolate chips and whatever else ingredients. So I think there's enough ingredients for another market.
Yeah.
So hopefully this coming week they'll actually make some money, which will be nice for them. I mean, I guess we don't count gas or energy for making the cookies, but I mean, they're keeping track of how much they spent on whatever supplies they need to make the stuff. Oh, and then they have what do you call it, like the cardboard stuff that they put the cookies in, buckets,
Yeah, that's
trays?
all part of their supplies.
trays.
Yes,
Yeah, so all of that as well, plus the
Mhm.
flour and the ingredients.
Yeah. And they're figuring okay, so I think this looks nice, but it was a lot cheaper, so maybe we'll stick with this next time. And this was a little more money and blah, blah, blah.
Again, if they don't make a
So
lot,
learning.
they're learning.
Yeah, they're learning business
skills.
skills right now. and
They'll remember it for the
finances.
rest of their life. So
Yeah, finances and building memories together as sisters. Yeah. I
yeah.
think it's
So we
great.
think they're doing great, but in reality, they haven't made any money yet.
Mhm.
Hopefully next week they can make something.
Yeah, it's fine.
Greetings from South Korea. Michael Douglas. Hello, my name is Michael from Aberdeen, Scotland. Both myself and my wife watch and enjoy your channel. Your family are wonderful. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Michael Douglas. The aerosol geoengineering chemtrails are and sunshine is totally blotted out. Saying I believe it or don't believe it, but I did read that some of the United States funding to forget what it was resulted in clearer skies, is what these articles were saying, that there's a lot less of these trails now. Whether you believe they're chemicals or not, besides the point, there's a lot less of them now in the sky, and the skies are now bluer than they were previous to these funding cuts. I don't know, whatever that's worth. Ruth, food producers should not have to explain themselves in the Netherlands Parliament when the government is shutting the farms down.
That could be true.
So I misread the other comment. So what you're saying is that the producers of the food are being dragged to government to explain for the high price? Maybe I got that wrong then. And so now you're saying they should not have to be. Yeah, well, I would agree with you. The governments, especially in the Netherlands, they have shut down a lot of them.
Don't touch your hat. Your mic's on.
Oh, my bad. And they're going after cows for farting, essentially, because of high nitrogen. Yeah, the whole thing's a mess. And people really need to. It's farmers' fault, first of all, for not educating the general public on where the food comes. I think it's very, very important for agricultural producers to educate the general public on why we do what we do, how we do it, and how we're trying our best to raise the animals in the most responsible possible way and treat the environment awesome. We generally, all farmers, try to leave things better than they were before. But because we haven't kept that connection open, we have allowed people to become completely disconnected from their food supply. And now they don't understand what we're doing. They drive through the field, spreading manure, and think, oh, that's terrible. Not realizing it's not terrible. That's absolutely the best fertilizer the land could possibly have. People are just so disconnected. And now they're shutting things down and making these silly rules. The people that are in politics, they're not farmers.
It's funny, we had somebody here just ask us the other day with these chicken tractors that we were pulling around.
Yeah.
Does the grass underneath the chickens die? And we're like, well, no, we don't leave it on long enough. Like we move them twice
Basically,
a
they
day
figured that many chickens in that small of a cage on the grass would just kill the grass.
instantly. And we were like, well, no, that's fertilizer. It's good for the grass, and we move it twice a day, and you don't leave it on that long, right? In that one area. Anyway, it's interesting because those areas in the yard or in the field that we had the chickens are like luscious, beautiful.
I tried
green.
to film it again this week, so it'll probably come out in this week's videos. It's really the camera. I don't know. It's hard, but you can see it clear as day from a house. Exactly where the chickens were is like much darker grass, much taller grass, much thicker, fuller grass.
Yeah, and we had that in our last place when we had like electric fencing for our ducks, and we would have the ducks in one spot for X amount of time, and then we move them to the next spot, and you can literally see the grass and as you went around, it just got so much more luscious and greener, and
it's good for the grass.
As long as they're not in too long. But I just thought it was interesting because this person in my mind should have known about fertilizer and how fertilizer works, and coming out of the animal is the best fertilizer. That's the most natural fertilizer, and when they were still questioning it, right? Again, different.
Yep. What is Christian church like for newcomers? Is it more difficult in rural areas? I don't fully understand the question, I guess. I mean, like the only churches locally that I'm aware of would be Orthodox, but of course that's in a Russian language. I don't know of any English services anywhere. I would think possibly you could find English. Well, Gleason, Joseph Gleason, Father Gleason in Yaroslavl, as far as I know, he preaches in English. So obviously if you're in that area, that would work. Other than that, I would think maybe in Moscow you could probably find an English service, but I have no idea. And any other Christian churches that I know of, all are Russian. I mean, this is Russia after all. But having said that, I know that in Canada there are Russian-speaking churches that preach in Russian every Sunday, in the States as well. There's also churches that still preach in German. There's still the odd church that has a Dutch service in Canada. So, I mean, other countries do preach in their native tongues. The people do. It's possible here. I don't know of any English-speaking ones here, particularly. But you're free to go to whatever church you want and worship however you feel like. There's no laws against it. Russian government either needs to look the other way somewhat or create new segment of ag laws for the smaller Western family type farms. Yes. Now, picture your Russian government. You would never know that. I mean, you've grown up in this system. I'm just assuming here, but probably most of the politicians here have never been on a farm or never grew up farming. Not the way the Western farms are in any case. And the vast majority of people that I talk to also have no concept of how we do what we do. There is no farm culture. There's no kids that have swung square rails all of their life.
Well, self-sufficiency is a big thing. That's a whole different concept here as well, right? Like it's a really big thing that people will say, oh, well, contact the government when you need help, or contact the vet when you need this, or do this. And we're not used to that idea. We've learned.
No, we're extremely self-sufficient. The model that we have in the West just doesn't exist here, and it hasn't existed here. And that's, again, that's not a right or wrong. Please don't get offended. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. Just saying that if you think from the politician side, how could they possibly make a law that would fit Western farming when they have no idea what that is? And we try to explain to people that, one large super farm here would be 300 to 350 small farms in Canada, sustainable working, profitable family farms.
Mhm.
It's just
When we
completely
sat
different
when we
systems.
sat in the ministry's office there, and we showed him a picture of what we had planned, like this is what we were planning, like a farm like this,
Mhm.
and he just looked at us like, "Oh yeah, right." Like it was
Well,
like,
at that time they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, good luck, or whatever." But he did admit recently, the one guy, that at that time they never thought we would do what we were doing. Like
he never thought
they're
it
like so
possible.
happy. Oh yeah, they actually did what they said they were going to do. Like this
Yeah,
is amazing. So,
I couldn't believe it.
yep.
Somebody was asking if I was planning on shooting more videos about food preparation like you did on peaches. I am thinking about it. I am a little discouraged with the canning processing here. Feed
It's different.
preparation is different.
She knows. She's an excellent canner. She knows exactly what she's doing.
So they
The
do not
jars are
have the
different.
same jars, and they do not have the same lids that we would have. And somebody was kind enough to give me a lid apparatus to put on the lids. And you know how long it was to put one lid on a jar? And then you would have had to process that jar in the water. And I was just like, I can't believe
For the
people-
Western audience, we should just do one jar just to show them. Like you got to stick this contraption on, and then you tighten the handle, and you got to run around the ring a couple times, tighten it again. It's a very time-consuming process to put
Mhm.
one lid on.
Now, I wish there was a way to like,
Or we're doing it wrong. But
well, somebody's going to show me them because I'm going to watch a video on it. But to me, it's just so time consuming. And I had my canning with my pressure canner and everything to like a T. Like I had 2 to 3 canners going at once, and I had
if
it
you're
done.
not familiar, we have a video on this too. But she had like well over 2,000 jars.
Oh,
of food
easy.
in
I
our
think I
pantry.
gave 1,000 to my sister.
Like we
Right,
canned, or
like,
she did, not
geez.
we. She
I was
canned our
gonna say you didn't
vegetables.
do
She
anything.
would
The girls
can
and
our,
I did it.
our
Yeah.
meat. She
And
would
I did
can our
most of
milk.
that. Just to point that out, I did most of that on a little fryer thing because we
Yep.
had a wood cook stove that wouldn't keep the heat, so
That's
I
right.
did it all in that fryer thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I'm just still trying to figure out the waters here because, yeah, like I said, it's so time consuming, and I would love it if somebody wants to bring in a whole container full of jars and lids from
Ball jars.
yeah, or the
Bernardin.
mason jars
Bernardin
or whatever,
jars.
because those are like so simple, so easy to do. You fill them up, throw the lid on, and away you go. But here,
For people here, and they probably have no idea what those are, and we should do a video on that too somehow, just to explain the differences.
well, I might be able to get somebody back home just to show.
Just bring even one or two here if they come on a holiday.
Yeah.
And then you could just do a side-by-side comparison of the two different styles of jars, two different styles of the glass, and two different styles of the lids. The lids is the main.
Yeah, the lids is the main thing.
difference.
So the jar is great. I love the jar. I love the quality. I love even the size of the jars here because they have a 1.5 liters, which is great for our size of family. I think it's great. But it's the lids. So you have the 2 types of lids. You have the one lid, I would call it the pickle lid. And most of Europe has these lids that you would just do pickles, and it's
They're like a screw on.
yeah, screw on, and that's great. I did my beans last year, and that it worked out really well. But I'm really having a hard time with the idea of using those lids for meat. Like I cook everything. I would do stews, meats, chilies, like you name it. I would do like anything you could buy in the store. I would do it in my jars. I used to even can boiled eggs. I do pickled eggs. I had all different types of stuff. So I'm just really kind of leery on those lids because a lot of times I was pulling the beans out and they were unpopping on me and things.
And
so.
those style of lids in Canada, you would never use for pressure canning.
No,
you
you
would
would
use
use
them
them
for
for
water
pressure
bath.
canning, but you would
Pressure
never.
can too, or just water
Yeah.
bath?
Well, I guess water bath more so.
More like pickled stuff.
More like pickled, yeah.
And
Ferment
in
pickles
pickled, the pickling itself more or less
kills
suits
the
food, right?
bacteria, yeah, basically.
Whereas when you're doing meat, it's not pickled.
Yeah.
A lot of our products, most of it, we're not pickled.
Yeah,
It's-
so a lot of people right away thought that my whole canning or my whole pantry was full of pickled food. And I thought, can you imagine eating all that food that's pickled? Like that would be horrible.
yeah, we
But
don't-
no, I did beets and it wasn't pickled. Like not pickled beets, like real
just
beets.
normal beets.
I did potatoes and like they were just potatoes, not pickled potatoes.
Peppers, carrots,
Yeah,
beans,
peppers,
peas.
relishes, and
People do corn. We never did
I-
corn, but
yeah, I did.
You
I did
did?
some
Oh.
cream corn. I did chilies and stews, and then just sausages. So you would like actually put sausages in, right? And it would be literally a meal in a can. So you could go into your pantry and you could pull out what you need for a meal, and then heat her up, and you're good
so
to go.
anyway, those jars, lids, we don't think are good for that. The ones that we just got that machine for
I
are
think
supposed
those
to be
would
good
be really good
for
for it, but it's
pressure
so
canning,
time consuming.
but it takes way too long to put
Yeah.
a lid on.
Now I'm thinking there's another thing. I have a feeling there's another machine because I've seen somebody's given us a can, and I think it was rolled on.
Okay.
So I think there's another machine here that they literally put this lid on and it's rolled on to seal and then pressure can. But I
Okay,
could be
some more
wrong.
homework.
I think
Now
so.
again, if you're watching this is not complaining.
No.
It's just a difference. It's
And-
something we never thought of coming to Russia. They'd have different jars. It's
Yeah.
just never done.
And I always look at it as we always have the saying that every moment is a teachable moment. And
Mhm.
this is how we learn. We question things, we research things, we talk about things, we discuss things. By discussing it with you guys, we actually get so many emails and comments and things that we learn, and then we find out information as well. So
Yep.
I'm at the stage of like, I don't think this will work. What am I going to do next? Or how am I going to navigate it? And then I do my research and try to figure it out more.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep. I'm always paying attention to the sky in your videos. How beautiful and clear it is. How you get close to the sky in the U.S. Alberto Pino, did you buy all the Russian books for children, or does Russian state give them to you for free? The Russian state hasn't given us anything for free. If we have Russian books, they are either
Hey, we
come
got
from.
this award for free.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we did. Large Family Award.
Yeah, I got that award.
That was
for
pretty
free.
cool.
That was really cool.
Okay, so I was wrong, but no books.
Mhm.
If we have Russian books, either we bought them or we were given them by you, our viewers. We were sent quite a few books when we first moved into the house.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some clipping issues with your mics, cracking noises present. Sound volume is also on the lower side. Check your mic. You've been living in Russia for 1.5 years. How does Anneesa assess her progress in Russian? What has she learned to say?
Not very good.
Hers is probably the worst. She has a harder time learning, and we're also been very, very busy. Like I said, she spends a lot of her day editing. Hopefully, we'll get around to more language.
I can understand a lot more.
Right.
Like I can understand quite a bit. What I feel happens though is that it's like I freeze up. My brain just goes numb, and it's like I just clam up. It's hard to explain, but I can understand quite a bit. I used to not be able to even understand anything, and by the time anybody was communicating around me, and I would just get so overwhelmed. I am still overwhelmed when people talk. I'm getting less overwhelmed. The lady coming from the village really helped a lot, being able to listen and communicate and things like that. I do find sometimes I still get overwhelmed quite a bit though. But people are patient. They're very understanding, and they don't like Cora knows so much, and they will go right to Cora. But like a lady the other day, or yesterday, came for eggs, and you could tell she wanted to talk to me. And Cora
On the
was
tractor?
yeah,
Oh, they're
and
such nice
so
people.
sweet,
Yeah.
right? But she was communicating with me. Cora was translating. Everything was great, but she didn't push it, and I like that because it was like. And then she started like talking back and forth with Cora, and I just love to stand there and listen, right? Because that's how I learn. I gotta listen. Like I'm one of those babies that need to just sit and listen for, probably a year before I'll even, yeah. So I learn totally different. Like you're like a sponge, and you and Cora's the same way. Like they get their sponge material there.
I've just been busy. There's so much to figure. And again, I know it sounds like excuses, but literally, there's just so much that has to be figured out.
Yeah,
If
and
we
that's
moved
one thing
here,
I said to
a
the
broken record, but if I moved to the city and just lived I don't know, an IT
yeah.
life or got a job, I would have way more time on my hands.
Well, that and there's a lot more paperwork in this country, a lot more meetings to have to go to, a lot more things to organize that I was not expecting. So like
Yeah.
Thank goodness for our older children. But like we were talking the other day with the kids about how often we have to go to the city for another appointment or another meeting or another thing or another this. And now with the SIM card thing, it's like we have to go all the time. Now, eventually that will pass, right? Like those will
Mhm.
be done. Those things will be over.
And it's harder for us because again we're one of the first doing it.
Hmm.
Some other people that have come have had a faster transition
Right.
because some of this has been figured, and this is for the government too. Like I don't know how many Canadians lived here or Westerners lived in Nijni before we came. There was some, but for many things, it's new for everybody.
Hmm.
Like a few years ago, there wasn't that many Westerners coming to Russia, so it's a lot of learning for everybody involved, and the system needs to adapt. And slowly but surely, people get more and more used to foreigners being here, and the next people that come will have a much easier time than the
Well,
first people
a
that
lot of
came, right?
people have even that have come behind us. It's a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Like we had to wait a year and a bit for our temporary residency. They came and they
Now
had
you
it
can come
within
and
4 months,
yeah.
right? So
When your children grow up is a great question. So, when your children grow up, how will you feel about your children having Russian wives and husbands, or do you still see them having spouses for the West, from the West? So, obviously, we leave that up to them.
hmm
The main thing, prerequisite, would be for one, our children are not allowed to date till they're 18. That's just, they know that.
hmm
So, they're not even looking at this point. For two, it's absolutely essential that whoever they marry loves the Lord and puts Jesus first in their life above our
child.
sons and daughters, above our
Hmm.
children. God needs to come first in your life. If it doesn't, how can you possibly have a good relationship? So those are essential things. Other than that, I don't really care what country they come from. They obviously need to be Christian and put God first and be serious about their faith. Uh, Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to love our sons and daughters. Other than that, I don't really care where they come from. It's up to our children to decide that. There is obviously a difference because, again, like I've said before, the whole farm culture here doesn't exist, and our children are all farmers. So I think it would be a challenge for them. I can't see any of our children at this point marrying anyone from the city because they don't like city stuff. They don't like computer games. They don't like
Mm.
TV. They don't want to go skateboarding in the park or whatever it is that's being done in the city. They don't want that. They want to hang out on the farm. They want to go for a walk in the bush. They want to build something out of wood, make a fort, ride a cow. I don't know, do whatever it is that our kids do. And so I think that'll be a challenge finding someone like them. Hopefully, more farmers will come, and over time we'll probably find more people that are similar to us. But family farm culture doesn't really exist here. And also, large families are very far and few between. So,
Mm.
to find kids that can identify with our kids, I think it might be a challenge. But God knows, we let God decide and lead. And, you know, I encourage our children, or we encourage our children to pray about that as well. That God already knows who they will marry and not to worry about it. When the time comes, it'll come. It'll be fine. Awful sound, basement, not great
Yeah, you got
acoustics,
it.
too
It's all
low.
work.
Well, okay. All right, we should probably call her quit here shortly.
Someone was suggesting that we don't teach our children and
Here's a good one too. While you're looking for that, does Russia have electric poultry netting? I've had good luck with no fox, coyote, right? I haven't found it yet. I actually found one guy who knows what it is, out of stock right now. He thinks they might have it in the future, so I'm hoping. But if you're not familiar with that, it is an electrified netted fence, and you can get at different heights. I think our tallest ones are 3 feet, so about a meter high, and it's the whole thing's electrified basically. And it helps to keep your chickens in and keep fox and skunks out. They'll come up to the net, they'll get blasted in the nose with a little bit of power, and they're movable. You can easily take them apart and move them. We had multiple of those in our last farm. We had the odd issue with wild animals, but for the most part, never, not like this. And yeah, the electrified fence. So I'm looking, I'm hoping, and we may end up having to get some from the west to bring it in. At this point, I haven't found any yet. And we're not talking about single strand here. We're talking about a netted fence small holes that chickens can't get through, ducks can't get through, and electrified. What were you pointing at?
This one, they were insinuating that
It's not scary that you haven't learned Russian yet. It's bad that they don't teach and don't want to teach, including children.
it's
That it's scary that we don't want to teach our children.
our children know Russian more than
Yeah,
we
our
do.
children speak
We-
quite a bit of Russian.
Yeah,
Actually.
they're actually translating for us now.
So I don't understand the comment.
Anyway, we teach our children other things. We educate our children. They have school. They have school books. They are very educated, and also with the language, they had a teacher, a tutor coming into the house. They know how to write Russian. They know how to speak most